Hello, everyone, and welcome to our World Reflexology Foundation self-help workshop today on stomach health. And I'm your host today. I'm Stephanie Savuntian. I'm Vice President of the WRF and also volunteer trainer. Now, little bit about the World Reflexology Foundation, who we are, what we do, and why we are doing this. We are a nonprofit organization, and we begin with a vision to bringing better health to the world. And we're doing this by teaching self-help, self-care reflexology to everyone across the world. And as a non-vocational organization, our WRF volunteer trainers teaching the basic self-help and self-care reflexology to individuals, to groups, to other organizations in many different countries. Our online workshops have been developed to focus on specific body parts, today stomach health. So each workshop, we have a different body part we're covering. And we're also covering where to work first, second, and third. Sometimes it's on the feet, sometimes on the hands, sometimes on the ears. And Bill will talk a little bit more about it in a moment. In a very simplified, but also very specific way, we instruct where to work for the best results to reduce or eliminate pain and discomfort. Now, all of our WRF volunteer trainers are highly trained and certified reflexologists, and we all have the passion to share our knowledge with you. And WRF's mission is simply bringing better health to the world. By participating in our WRF workshops, our hope is that the benefits and the awareness of self-help reflexology and self-care reflexology can affect not only you, but also people around you, your families, your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. And feel free to invite them for the next workshop too. Again, the World Reflexology Foundation only focuses on teaching self-help. We are not teaching vocational. And today, we encourage you to work along and follow along on yourself, work on your own feet, hands, and ears, as we are demonstrating where to work on these feet, hand, and ears for stomach health. Now, in doing that, so please be aware not to work over open sores, for example, or if you have overly tender areas on the feet, hand, and ears, it's perfectly fine to use lighter touch. I always say it doesn't have to hurt to work. And take your time while you're working on the feet, hand, and ears. Now, of course, today in our demonstrations, we're moving a little bit quicker along. But when you're practicing at home, maybe every day, take your time. It's always good to work longer and not as fast. So also please remember that the information we're covering today in this workshop and other workshops, of course, it's not a substitute for medical care. Please seek medical attention if you experience any specific medical conditions. And now, without further ado, I'm handing it over to Bill Floco, who will explain a little bit about reflexology, what it is, and how it works. Bill.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hello, everybody. I know nobody here needs this for yourselves because nobody here has stress in their abdomen. No one here has stress in their lives. Is that correct? I see a few smiles. Well, most of us here know what reflexology is, but for those of us who don't, or those of us who need a brief review, if you will, reflexology is a way of helping ourselves to have better health, a way of relieving pain and distresses. or the effects of stress. And the question is, how do we do it? And we do it by working using nurturing touch, as has been mentioned, on the feet, hands, and outer ears. And nature has given us some maps on our bodies, feet, hands, and ears, that can help us in specific parts of the body. So let's take a look first at the feet, then we'll go to the hands and ears and describe this. You'll notice the purple for the lady on the left, her head, and then the blue below, the orange below, the yellow, and the other colors. So let's now take a look. Where would we work for headache and neck issues? See the same colors on the toes. So you want to work on all the toes. So that's for the head and neck. Next, you have the chest in blue. And you notice the blue on the feet, the ball and pad, and the upper part of the foot for that. And then notice the yellow, and we'll want to spend special attention on that today for the upper abdomen. And then notice the brown or rust colored, that's for the lower abdominal pelvic area. And you're noticing where to work on the feet, hands, and ears as Stephanie goes across. Now notice on the red, the legs, and you'll notice on the outer edge of the feet, you have the leg reflexes. And then if you notice the green, notice the arms are on the outer side of the body, and notice the green for the arm reflexes on the outer sides of the feet. And then the last part is, notice the long lines down the middle of the body representing the spinal column. That's spinal column, spinal cord, cerebral spinal fluid, and other things that run the length of the midline of the body. And if we had issues there, then where Stephanie is going on the feet now is where we would work for spinal issues on the feet. So notice very similarly, the any issues with the head and neck, go to the same color areas, the fingers and thumbs. For the blue, for the chest, the big knuckle area at the base of the fingers and thumbs. And then the yellow, and we're going to spend special attention on that today, for upper abdomen. And then the rust colored area at the base of the torso, the base of the hand, what we might call the heel of the hand, for the lower abdominal pelvic. Then the legs, the red, and the green, you'll notice that on the outer edges of the body, the arms are there. And so you notice the outer edge of the hands. Thank you. And then the spinal reflexes. Thank you. You're doing a beautiful job with that pointer. Thanks, Stephanie. So now let's go to the ears. Now the ears are a little bit different. So you have to think of, if when we were kids, we tried to do headstands. And if you ever tried to do a headstand, you're upside down, or like a baby upside down in the fetal position. So where the earlobe is, that's where you'd go for issues with the head and neck. Notice the blue coming up a little bit. Notice the blue in the valley. That's for the inner chest area. Go up a little bit higher. The yellow and rust, that's for the abdominal area. And then the red up at the top, if you're doing a headstand, your feet are at the top. So the red is for the leg reflexes, the green for the arms. And
Sorry.
That's okay. And then the notched spinal reflexes for spinal issues. And the ears are amazing for a lot of that, but those are other workshops. If you have pain in some place in your body, which would be best, the feet, the hands, or the ears? Now, if people only know how to do one, like just only know how to do a hand reflexology or ears or feet, then they only know one way to go. They have to go just to that one system. But over 40 years, we've been working with all three systems, the feet, the hands, and the ears. And what we've discovered is sometimes the feet are far superior. For other issues, pain and discomfort in the body, the hands are far superior. And yet in other parts of the body, for the ears are absolutely amazing. Like I just mentioned, for the like lower back and neck issues. However, today we're working with stomach issues. And the question is, where would we go first if there's pain? Again, priority and progression reflexing, which means what's your top priority if there's pain or discomfort in your body? Where would you go first? And then progression means where would you go second and third, because it's so good to do all three. Now, if you don't know top priority, or if you don't have serious pain or like that, then just reflex all three. But when you have pain, it really matters where you go first, second, and third. A little bit about the abdomen. A lot of people who have not studied anatomy, when they hear the word stomach, they think of the entire abdomen. I remember one time I was working on somebody, a lady who said her stomach was bothering her. I should have asked more questions. Working on her for a while, it wasn't getting better. And I said, "Where's it? Put your hand where it's bothering you." She was having uterine discomforts. She didn't know to say up where it was bothering her. So our purposes, we're going to be on the upper abdomen. The stomach's on the upper abdomen. When we say stomach, it's where the food goes into after we eat it, and it comes down the esophagus. So it's on the upper abdomen, and in fact, it's on the upper left. 99% of the stomach is on the upper left abdomen. So you will be, that information will be reinforced for you. With that, why would we want to work on the upper abdomen? One is prevention. Prevention of what? Well, it could be stomach cramps, hyperacidity, indigestion, nausea, motion sickness. So anything dealing with the structure of the stomach itself. So the question is, where would we go first? Well, for that, Stephanie, thank you. We'll take it back to you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for the explanations. Now we are coming to the hands-on part. I call that the fun part, and the demonstrations. So our volunteer trainers will guide you through and show you how to work for the stomach, on the feet, hands, and outer ears. Before Liz will demonstrate on the feet, I will bring up another slide and show you in an illustration where to work on the feet. So take a moment and look at that. And now I'm handing it over to Liz.
Thank you, Stephanie and Bill. Hello, everybody. So as Stephanie and Bill have described just before, we work in priorities. And for the stomach reflex, the foot is their first priority place. So we've got a left foot here. And what I've got marked here is the diaphragm line. So just like the diaphragm that sits under our ribs, okay, this is a mark point for knowing the stomach reflex that's just underneath that. And on the map that Stephanie has just shown us, we recognize that it is the plantar side, or the underneath side, the bottom of the foot, that we find the stomach reflex. Most of it is on the left foot, with a little bit being on the right foot. Now, what I want to show you is how we reflex this area. I'll hold it this way so you can see it easier. But we do a term which we call thumb walking or caterpillar walk. And this is the easiest way to massage your foot. So basically, what you're doing is you're depressing into your skin, okay? And then release a little bit and you flick your finger or your thumb forward, depress and down again, and then across. So you're caterpillaring your way across the reflex area. So we'll show you on the foot here. So you can work from the lateral side to the medial side or vice versa. And we want to go pretty much all the way across, directly underneath this diaphragm line. Then we can come back down the other way. I'm just going to use my finger just so it's easier to show you. So I'm pressing in as I go down through there, up again, like this. And as Stephanie mentioned, the slower you go, the more beneficial it is going to be to you. Okay. Now I'm just going to tilt my screen so that you can see on my foot. And what I'm doing is I'm just sitting in a chair here. Hopefully you can see this all right. So I'm sitting in a chair and I've got my ankle onto my knee here so that it's protecting my ankle. And then my opposite knee, if it's feeling a little bit uncomfortable, you can cushion that underneath, okay? It's really important to be nice to your body as you're working. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reflex with that little caterpillar walk that we showed before, all the way up and across. When I first started out doing reflexology, which was over 10 years ago now, I went tramping or hiking in the backcountry of New Zealand with my little sister. We'd had dinner and we were sitting down playing cards. You want to follow along with this, that's all good. And she was complaining that she had a bit of indigestion, her stomach was feeling a bit uncomfortable. So I grabbed her foot and I started doing this to her. Within 10 minutes, she put her cards down on the table, she ran outside, and I could literally hear her becoming more and more comfortable. We both had a very good giggle at this, and thankfully we were the only ones in the hut at the time. But we were both very amazed how quickly it worked. Now, if you want to switch to the opposite foot, to our right foot, see that there, and it's only a little bit. You don't need to go all the way across. On your right foot, you can go both ways there. Okay, there we go. That's it for our left and right feet. Hopefully you've enjoyed that and followed along. We'll catch you guys later on. Handing it back to you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Liz. That was wonderful. And you showed it very, very precise. And I hope you were able to follow along at home, and encourage you, of course, to keep working on it at home for homework, and every day a little bit if you have stomach discomfort. Now, Paul will show you how to work the hands, because we are not all as flexible as our lovely Liz, and not everyone can put the foot on their leg. Before I hand it over to Paul, let me share the screen again and show you the image where to work on the hands. I hope you can see all the image and take a moment to look at that. You can also notice it's not just on your left hand, a little bit on the right hand too. Paul, you
Hello,
are
everyone.
up to explain now where to work on the hands.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate the introduction. So just a review. Stephanie just showed us on the map where to work with that reflex. Then by the magic of television or the internet, we have placed the stomach reflex. So the main thing we want you to notice is that we're in that yellow area, the abdominal area. And we are going to show how to work that on the hand, and how to work really the whole area to relax not only the stomach, but the organs and muscle structure surrounding the stomach as well. Okay. So if we take our left hand and we see yellow on our left hand, we know we're in the right spot. And then we have the black depiction of where the stomach reflex is located. So we'll show this briefly, and then we'll all do this together. So let's take our left thumb for a walk again, like Liz demonstrated for us. And we're going to start just with that working across. You'll notice we're not confining ourselves just to the stomach, moving along a bit below and a bit above, all the way across this area, up and down. It can be done from the opposite side if you're more of a gymnast, but then we can also work cross this way, just taking that thumb for a walk all the way across your palm, all the way across. And again, from the outside and all the way across. So now that we've seen it, let's everyone, if you would care to take your left hand, let's do this together. And we'll have a nice relaxation session for our stomachs and our abdominal, muscular and intestinal area all in through here. I'll tell you a little story about a client of mine. Happens to be a client of the medical clinic where my office is. This woman, about a year and a half ago, had her stomach removed. Guess where we go when she has problems digesting food? We still go to the stomach reflex. And we've worked together for quite some time now. And so she's able to tell me, she said, when you start working the stomach reflex, I can start to feel the food that sometimes is trapped in the esophageal area begin to move down through and into the digestive area. So even though she has no physical stomach, there's still relationship to this spot. All right. All right. So I hope everyone has enjoyed working on their stomach through the left hand palm or the palmar surface of the left hand. And yeah, we suggest that if you do have issues with stomach pain or stomach problems, that 5 minutes a day is not going to be excessive and should benefit you in most cases quite well. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paul. That was wonderful. And indeed, it was very relaxing. Now we're coming to the ears. And after I show you an image where we find the stomach reflex on the ears, I will actually demonstrate it. So take a moment to look at the picture where it's black here. That's where the stomach reflex is on the ear, in the very center. Now, there are several ways to do this. And I show this first on my big plastic ear here. That's easier to see than on my own small ear. So several ways to find it. In the lower concha we have, or in the lower valley, we have the ear canal. So from the ear canal, find the ear canal with your index finger and move up. There you find a small ridge. And when you're coming to that ridge, you will find closer to the face, you will find a little notch. You can feel it with the tip of your index finger, almost with the nail part of your index finger. You can move a little bit around on that ridge. And where you find that little notch in there, then you flatten out your index finger more And then you're on the stomach reflex, as well as you're also on a very powerful master point, which takes care of abdominal pain too. But you are with the tip of your index finger, you are on the stomach reflex. Now, the other way to find this point is when you're coming from the outer ridge. You trace with your index finger the outer ridge toward the face and coming to the center of the ear. And you're arriving again on that little notch where the master point is, 0 point. Flatten out the index finger a little bit, and then you're on stomach reflex. Now, Bill and Paul and Liz, they all said most of the stomach reflex is on the left, on the feet and the hands. On the ears, we do both ears at the same time. We have a stomach reflex on both ears. And I will show you now on my own ear how to find it, the 2 ways. You find with your index finger the ear canal, don't close it. But then you're moving up to that slight ridge, find that little notch with the tip of your index finger, and with the pad of your index finger, flatten out. And now you have your index finger on the stomach reflex, as well as that master point, 0 point. The other way is, again, tracing the outer ridge toward the face, following the ridge into the center of the ear, and there you arrive again on the stomach reflex. Now you do that on both sides. Put your elbow maybe on a table in front of you so that you don't hike your shoulders up, relaxing your shoulders. Find both stomach reflexes with the pad of your index finger and hold it gently, both ears at the same time. If you don't have a table, if you're working later on at home, you can also put a big pillow in front of you and put the elbows on top. As long as you're relaxing your shoulders, that's important. We can hold this for several minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes. So if you feel any discomfort, stomach discomfort, doesn't have to be pain, or any nausea, any kind of nausea. Let's hold this for a moment, both hands at the same time, both ears. I also have a story not from a client, actually my sister-in-law. We were meeting up in the mountains, camping, and it was a windy road up there. And when we arrived up there, I was a little nauseous from driving on the curvy roads. So I took care of my stomach reflex, just holding these stomach points on the ears. And it quickly dissolved. I was not nauseous after a couple of minutes. I was not nauseous anymore. My sister-in-law arrived and she couldn't get out of the car because she was so car sick. So I showed her how to do it on her own ears, and she held it, and 5 minutes later she came out with a smile and no nausea anymore, and we could enjoy our camping trip. So that's the stomach reflex on the ears. I hope you enjoyed that. And we do a little review in a moment, but before we do the review, Mita is going to show us and talk to us a little bit more, giving us more information. Mita, you're on.
Yeah, great. Look, I know we've packed a lot of information into a short amount of time. So if you have any additional questions, please ask the person who invited you, or check our website. Would you like to put the website up, Stephanie? At worldreflexologyfoundation.org. And while you're there, if you haven't already, sign up for our newsletter, and that will really keep you in the loop of what workshops are coming up and any other more events that we have. And we are having more events this year, workshops like this. So you want to be in and you want to be in the know. So on our website, you can also donate as your donations keep our work going, as everything we do is on a volunteer basis. And really importantly, remember to practice these points that you've learned here today. That's the best way to get familiar and to get the results that you would like, right? Great. So now we're going to do a review, just a very brief review so that it sinks in a little bit more what we did here today. So first up, the first priority reflexing area is the feet. And Liz kindly showed us the areas on the feet, and I'm just going to go over it very briefly. So she showed us the diaphragm line here. And then this is the left foot. You're going to do mostly on the left foot. There's a little bit on the right, but mostly on the left foot. So you're going to go across. Now, just because it's easier today, I'm going to use my finger because that's something you can do as well. You can do that lovely thumb walk, but you can also use your finger like this if it's easier for you. And go right across, right under the diaphragm line there. And you want to go fairly slowly. I'm going a little faster today because, we're demonstrating, etc. But when you do it, you really want to go slowly and sort of, so that, just really feel it and get it in there. So, and right across there. Thank you, Liz, for doing that. And then, you can also go upwards like this. You want to go upwards or with the thumb, upwards. Okay. So that's a couple of ways that you can do it. It's on the feet, and just remember that you'll go right across on the foot, on the left foot, on the right foot. You don't need to go all the way across because it's only a little bit. So that's the foot. Now she also did it on her real foot, and just to remember to support when you're doing that, support the ankle. Don't put any pressure on your knee. Don't do anything that causes pain in those areas, and just support your foot while you're doing it for real. Okay. The next person was Paul, because the hands are the next priority reflexing point. So I'll do it on my left hand. And again, this is the left hand. And so Paul did some wonderful charts and showed us this area right from the bottom of the thumb, right across here, and then this way, all the way down, and then pretty much down here again like this. And again, here's your diaphragm line going across here. So it's underneath there, and this is the whole abdominal area. But the stomach area is taking that place. So we could do the finger. We could do a thumb. We could hold. We could do little circles if we're finding a little tender area or something. We can also just hold. And sometimes that can be very, very helpful as well when we just hold and we just breathe and we just center and we just hold there for a minute. So that's the hand. And again, mostly on the left hand, a little bit on the right hand, okay? And then the last person was Stephanie, who did the ears, and the ears was the third priority reflexing point. And Stephanie showed a couple of different ways to get to the stomach point. So she showed from the ear canal here. You can just go up to the middle here of that ridge, and you can find that point that's in the middle, and then flatten your finger out and you get the stomach point plus that special point that's helpful as well. You could also trace from here all the way around and come in and go to the middle as well, right in the middle there, okay? And again, flatten your finger and you've got that area on your ears. And you want to just make sure you're resting, like perhaps putting your elbows on the table or wherever you're at. And again, just holding. You can do several minutes or just until you get relief. So that's the ears, and that's the review. And I think, Stephanie, we're ready to take a photo. Is that right?
Yes, and you were talking about, thank you, Mita, the review was wonderful. You were talking about donations, and I did have the slide. It was just not where I thought it is. So here is the slide. Mita was talking about how important it is for us to the funding for the work we are doing and sharing self-help and self-care reflexology.
When you finish and take that down, I'd like to make a couple more comments.
Okay, So here's the information again for our website. Visit our website. We have the videos. We're going to have more videos up. One is already up. We have a library with articles and a lot of other information up there. So www.worldreflexologyfoundation.org. Bill.
Thank you. Now, the World Reflexology Foundation, it takes money for us to do this, and we're all volunteers. So we need your help in several ways. Please, if you can donate, we very much would invite that, especially with some of the upgrades that we're looking at doing for the future, getting these things translated in numerous different languages. We have huge projects ahead, and we're going to need a lot of money. So if any of you can, either through corporate donating or cars to donate or money or anything that you can do, or know people who could help us, we certainly would appreciate that. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so your donation might be deductible as well. God bless you. Good health to you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful seeing you again.